Namaste, beautiful souls, and
Namaste.
welcome to this Truth and Tarot time where we have guests, guidance, and tarot wisdom. And I am so super excited because today, for our second episode of Truth and Tarot time, we have the lovely Andrea Wilkin joining us. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Deborah. How are you?
Good, good,
Ready?
good. We've just had a little excited chat before we pressed record, and then we thought, no, we've got to record this because we can dive into
Can't
deep
waste it.
conversations already. So I really wanted to have a chat with Andrea. She does a lot of the same things, like she does the heart healing, the soul readings, but different in her own beautiful, unique way, of course. And she's just self-published her two books. Yeah, so
Yep.
and we're going to talk about those. We're going to get on to those, and I'm really excited for you about those as well.
Thank you.
So Andrea is into tarot, doesn't read it herself anymore, but is familiar with
Yeah,
it. So
I
she's
love it.
up for the game of having a quick reading, seeing the wisdom that comes out, and then we'll have a little chat and see where it goes.
Fabulous. Yeah, it's exciting. Good to be here.
Different, different. One,
Yeah,
two, three.
different's good.
Okay, three have just come out. Let's have a look. They're
Okay.
face down at the moment. Here we go. The
Oh,
magician.
perfect.
Magic. It's
Yeah,
magic. So we are the creators of our own reality, as above, so below. And
yeah,
we have everything. These are all the tools, aren't they, on the table? So
yeah,
we have everything we need, all the elements that we need in order to create whatever we want, in order to create our abundance, our
yeah.
infinite
I know. I
abundance.
love the infinite sign.
Yeah, and of course, this is actually not counting the Fool, is the first of the major arcana, which are like the spiritual lessons in life. So we can
Yeah,
create whatever we want, whether that be books or whatever, or the
yeah.
perfect lifestyle or whatever. Oh my God, what did I just say about the Fool?
Oh my goodness.
Oh wow,
Wow.
brilliant.
Yeah.
So yeah, they just came the other way around. That was all. Leaps of faith, leaps of faith, the
Yes.
power and importance of leaps of faith. So this is what I'm going to be asking you about. We're going to be talking about the power and importance of the leaps of faith in life because I'm sure you've made them too.
For
But
sure.
you're in sunny Spain as well, so
Yeah.
from England. So
Yeah.
there's a leap of faith already. Although when you look back, it was probably one of the easiest leaps we made, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, it was a convoluted trip, but yeah.
All right, brilliant. But we can talk about that. And then the last one that we've got is the Two of Wands,
Oh,
which
lovely.
I love because he's got the world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands, and he's looking out over the shores of heaven on earth. And
Yeah.
twos are decisions. And for me, the Two of Wands is like a moral decision. Maybe moral isn't the right word, but it's a decision that's in alignment with who we really are. It's a decision that makes our soul feel comfortable.
Mm,
It's a decision that's coming from our soul path, not just from our mind.
yeah,
So that's important as well, isn't it?
absolutely. Yeah. And with
Wow.
the also the you hold the world in your hands, so it's about choices, the choices that are available to us, and the world's your oyster. Do what you want to do.
Definitely. Definitely. The world is your oyster. Exactly. And looking out over the shores of heaven on earth, we are all creating our own version.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
very
right.
much. Good
Right.
or bad.
Brilliant. All right. So Andrea, tell us about the leaps of faith that you've had to make and um yeah, and your story. Yeah. Because this is the
Mm.
hero in the hero's journey, right?
Wow, well, that's great timing. I'm in my 50s, so is an element of when you step into that. It's not the second half, is it? Because not many people live to 100, but it's always like 50's the halfway mark. But actually, it's almost like then you start to use more of your wisdom as opposed to what should I be doing, and you go, well, I'm going to do what I want to do, not what I should do. So
Yeah.
that's an interesting
That's
time for that to come out. Yeah,
yeah, it's this choice, isn't it?
yeah,
It's this choice
absolutely.
of making a decision because you know it's right. That's why I use the word moral. It's like making a
Yeah.
decision because you know it's right, even though it goes against the grain.
Yes. Yeah, you follow your gut instinct with it, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you move over to Spain?
Just over after COVID, actually, but we didn't come straight from the UK. We came from France, where we had a retreat centre for a good 12 years. And the whole COVID episode closed that down in some respects because people couldn't travel. And it was a very large property, beautiful. And we had a very successful business there, but decided with the age that our children were, it was better to be more in an environment where there are international schools rather than rural. Rural France is beautiful, and it was no coincidence that, and it's mentioned in my book, we landed up where the Foreign Legion have their base for the world, basically. It's there. And also the Mary Magdalene history that runs through that particular part of France, the Languedoc, is really interesting. So it felt like that was also where I had to be for some time of my life. So we left England in 2009, 2010, and then landed up moving to Spain in 2021. So that was a long time, but amazing, but very different to Spain.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And the reason for leaving the UK was, as in my book mentions, is that my mum passed away. So, and my father had passed away when I was 17. So I didn't have that real calling to stay in the UK for parents as they were getting older, because they weren't going to get older. They, their time had come and gone. And the last thing my mum said to me was, "Go and see the world. I haven't been able to do it. Go and see the world." So it was almost like the permission was there to go. So I took it.
Yes. And well, permission is a key word, we know, because we're
Yeah,
going to talk about your book. Um, permission to put it down.
yeah.
Not the book.
No
But
stuff.
but isn't that beautiful? Do you find as so Andrea, as I said, does soul Akashic record readings as well. So have you found since your mum passed that she's a guide from the other side now?
I'd actually say it's more her mum, if I'm honest. I think
Okay.
that it's the females before her. My mum was quite a stressy lady. She, bless her, she had a tough time after my father died, so she never really blossomed into who she could have been because she felt laden with responsibility. And again, that's something that you can inherit. And I was very mindful of not following that path. So I think my guidance comes more from her ancestry, like beyond her. So yeah, that's the sense that I get, is it's before her.
And
But
it's interesting that you said that because I think one of the things that we, this generation, or what's going on, those of us at this time of the Great Awakening, um, we need freedom, don't we? We
yeah,
freedom is such a key word. I mean, from an astrological point of view, Pluto in Aquarius, the age of Aquarius, it's all about that freedom. Uh,
yeah,
um, and just last weekend, with Uranus moving into Gemini, Uranus
yeah,
is also all about freedom and impulsive stuff and change and stuff and moving from traditional, traditions and stuff like that. So freedom is really, really important. And as you said, your mum felt the weight of responsibility. So, you know,
mm,
their generation just haven't had the freedom that we've
no,
had. But also, I want to say in relationships, because I know that you're happily married as well. And so, because I noticed there's a lot of people single in this Great Awakening. And one of
yeah,
the reasons is, well, you've probably done readings for people as well, that they need to be free. They need
yeah,
to be free in order to live their purpose. And I totally understand that. But those of us that are in, happy marriages, there's a level of freedom. I'm sure you're experiencing the same,
yeah,
which comes, which, like, I think a lot of men in the past wouldn't have accepted a wife like me.
sure,
But I don't know whether your husband feels the same way. But, and I remember my mum saying to me when I was very young, experiencing my first heartbreak, she said to me something like, "You are going to need a very strong man in your life."
yeah,
And I didn't know what she meant. I didn't know what she meant until I met my second husband, my
yeah,
now, my now husband. Because you have to be strong, and it's not just the strength, it's the trust,
yeah,
respect, and taking that love to the next level. So, and that's part of them stepping into their divine masculine, right?
Yeah, of course. And it also, for me, it's not about being together 24/7. Mark works away, and for majority of the time that we've been here, he's been working. He's a captain on yachts, so he
Right.
doesn't work here. For months he's away. So that has given me that
Yeah.
freedom. So
Yeah.
as much as it's great, we have a great family life. There's an aspect of it that is not the traditional way of living, which works.
But which we're bringing back.
Yeah,
And that's one of the things that Uranus and Gemini is doing. It's choosing which traditions we want to keep and which traditions we want to get rid of. And of course,
yeah,
it was the same with me with the garden retreat. I was down in Pago, and yeah, and that distance, yeah, makes the heart grow fonder.
yeah. Well, it's just beautiful, isn't it? And it's like the timing of where everything falls is also as it should be.
Yes,
It's
exactly. And
it's
having the
really
source,
interesting.
but still having that support. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think I mentioned that in the acknowledgements of this book. It was like, thanking my husband for all the support, even though a lot of the time he finds what I do quite weird.
Yeah, I must admit it's the same here. It's like you just go do
I
your
thought
thing.
it.
Do what makes you happy. Okay, I
So,
will.
and Andrea, tell me what do you think is the biggest leap of faith that you've taken in your story?
Oh wow, probably well, living abroad is a huge thing, especially when my mum passed away, I fell pregnant a month afterwards, and it was a big thing to become a mum without my mum, and to then decide to move abroad because we could, and we changed country to a different language. Everything changed. So my stability changed. What I was used to as having my foundations weren't there anymore. And although Mark's a very stable, very grounded man, equally from a woman's perspective, having your first baby, I didn't have that network available to me. So their leap of faith was trusting that I'd be all right, I'd be okay. And of course I was. But you kind of just have to trust that life will open up as it's going to, and the right people will find you and you'll find them. And of course that happened. So yeah, that's probably the changing it all up from what most people would say was, that's crazy. Why are you doing that?
Yeah,
And it's like, well, why not?
yeah,
For me, it's like, because I know I can't stay here and do what I've always done. I'm not
yeah.
content with that.
And I think I mean, do you agree that because of the soul level work that we do, I think that makes it easier to trust because we understand that the soul has a plan. I love
Yeah,
that. I don't know who said it, but nothing makes God laugh louder than a human with a plan, because the human is just where's
yeah,
the feet going like this? What's going on? But the
yeah,
soul is is the plan, really, the
sure.
soul blueprint. So can you tell me how has your soul level work helped you trust the process of your own life unfolding?
I think from just trusting that, my knowing that nothing is really that stable, and that doesn't matter.
Yes.
Your foundations can shift, but you're very capable of shifting with them. And that sense of control is only fear. That sense of needing everything to be perfect is fear based rather than love based. And
Yes.
we have all the capabilities to make things right if we allow them. So it's we're kind of brought up not to trust ourselves. Whereas when we do trust ourselves, things just flow a little bit easier, and we allow ourselves to receive. We allow ourselves to stand back and watch what unfolds rather than try and control what's unfolding. And yeah, the less control you have is actually, things are easier.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
not up here, but in here.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I suppose it's that understanding that there is a bigger picture. Because
Yes.
if you're thinking only on the human level, then you want to be in control of what's going on. But
Yeah.
it's like the way I look at it is that Deborah's not in control, but who is I? My
Yeah.
higher self, or the all
Sure.
that is, or my
Yes.
soul. I mean, however you want to, I kind of separate the soul from the human. The human's living in like the third dimensional physical plane, bogged down by this fourth dimensional emotional and mental energy body. The
Yeah.
soul, of course, is happy as Larry, residing in the fifth dimension. Um, focused on love.
Yeah.
So it is about surrendering to your own soul, really. It's not really anything outside of you, is it? It's just,
No, and it takes a lot of trust to do that, doesn't it? You know, you
well,
really have
yes,
to.
but then again, it does. But once you've done it a couple of times,
Yes. Yeah,
it
it's easier.
actually it actually makes it becomes common sense, doesn't it?
Mm, definitely. And I think when you allow yourself to see the synchronicities and see the things that are presented, and when you're so stressed and trying to keep in control, you miss those things because you're not listening, you're not really seeing, you're seeing what you want to see rather than what's actually there. You can almost manipulate things to a point where they're not going in your favor because you so want to make it right. And it's like, stop it.
You're following a programming as well, aren't you? Because
Certainly.
we want our parents to be proud of us, or we're following a programming. We didn't realize that we were so programmed from the Matrix. So,
Yeah.
in order to keep in that alignment, to be able to trust and to keep in that alignment with what your soul wants you to do, I know you like walking in the countryside. You've got a dog as well, and you love, walking, living in the countryside. But what are some of the other things that you do that keep your frequency high, that
Well,
allows you to stay in that alignment?
I actually find that when I'm doing readings for people, when I do the Akashic readings, I find that that's when I feel more alive and I'm actually more the real version because you do tap into another source. I mean, it's available to us all the time, but when you focus and focus with intention to, I want the answer. I want to show this person what I'm feeling. I want them to be able to see it for themselves. So I think there's more of a spark when I'm working in that realm. But yeah, to do, I always have certain crystals around me. Sometimes when I'm feeling like I'm a bit out of sync, like, right, I need a darker crystal, I need something heavier and a bit more grounding. And when I need a bit more inspiration, I'm like, oh, pull in like a light colored crystal. So little simple things that I've just learned along the way. The other thing that I love is aromatherapy. There's a few oils that are my go-to oils. One of them's mandarin, the other one's basil, and together they make such a great combination. And
Oh,
that, just to take a good deep breath of those particular oils, I find is like, oh, good, I'm back. My senses have come online again.
brilliant.
Little things, nothing really specific or out there, just simple stuff.
Yeah, but I think um, the soul readings, I think that obviously the reason that that lights you up is because you're meant to be doing them, right? It's as
Yeah.
simple as that. And it's that lovely quote from Pablo Picasso that said, "The meaning of life is to find your gift, but the purpose of life is to give it away."
Yeah.
Um, so, can you share with us how do your clients benefit from your soul readings? What are you actually providing for them?
So quite often somebody will come with they feel stuck, like they're walking through treacle. Things are actually okay, they've got a nice life, everything's okay, but they know there's something that's keeping them a little bit stuck to something they'd rather not have. Whether it's that I feel stale in what I'm doing every day, or there's this sense of maybe there's a bit of lack around, and there's like poverty consciousness, or there's I have when people talk to themselves, they find themselves being actually quite hard on themselves, give everyone else the praise, but rarely praise themselves. So there's a lack of self-love. So it's kind of revealing to them, well, the reason that you might be feeling that is that it was actually way back. It was before you, and it was something you experienced before this incarnation. However, it's available to you now to be able to see and correct it. So until you actually acknowledge that it's there and accept it's a part of who you are, it will have some sort of power over you. However, when we go, that's the pattern I keep repeating. Oh, my mum did that. Oh my goodness, I'm following in my mum's footsteps. That relationship she had was like that. And it's almost like we start to see a pattern that's within our DNA. And we can break these patterns, but we can't break them until we identify them. And what I find, probably like your soul work, is that you get that kind of focus on it's abandonment or rejection. There'll be something that's very specific to that soul that they're here to evolve from. And once you acknowledge it, you can let go of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And do you have a particular process for letting go of it?
There's a very powerful decree. So whenever I do any work with somebody, we go through the reading, we highlight the bits that feel really resonant and are most poignant. There's normally a chakra that is out of alignment because that's where they've stored it. Quite often the heart chakra takes that weight. So it's about working on the heart chakra with simple things, certain breathing techniques, rose quartz, sending yourself love morning and night, certain things you look in the mirror and I really love you, that kind of thing that wouldn't come normally, but it's something that you start to become happy to do because you start to see yourself through different eyes.
Yeah.
But the decree is a series of very powerful statements that are rewiring the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is running our show. So if we can get it to run a different version of us, I am powerful. I do love who I am. I love my gifts. Really positive affirmations worded in a way where they're commands to ourselves. It
Yeah.
shifts a pattern.
I love the way you said that, commands, because it's one of the things actually I say in here because I started off in the first book talking about affirmations, of course.
Yeah,
And then you mentioned beliefs. And then, of course, I was talking, about beliefs because affirmations and beliefs are basically the same thing. And we're talking
yeah,
about reprogramming the subconscious. So affirmations can take quite a long time, repeating
yeah,
them morning, noon, and night. And you keep going and you write them and you sing them and what have you. But I'm bringing it back to him because he's the one that says you are the creator of your own reality. So
yeah,
then we've got um, with the Psych K, there are some postures that we can use to install beliefs. So
yeah,
that speeds it up a little bit.
yeah.
But then when you understand that you are the creator of your own reality and what you say goes,
Yes, you come on.
then in here I said, so really, it's not an affirmation, it's not even a belief, it's a quantum command. And
Yes,
that's what I call it now. It's like it doesn't need to take time, it doesn't need to take postures. So don't get me wrong, I love
but they
affirmation.
help.
And I love the postures that I share with the brain integration and everything. But ultimately, when you have the belief, you know,
Yes,
that it is just a quantum command.
yeah, yeah.
You just can literally just say, yep, this is the way it is.
And allowing yourself to be a little bit bolder than you think you should be, and
Yes.
actually being stepping into that new identity of empowerment. And I know I can do this, just absolutely telling yourself, commanding yourself to shift into the person you want to be it.
Yes.
Be them
Yes.
now.
Exactly. And one of the things that helped me with that, and helps me go with the flow is it was teachings from my good friend and mentor Liz Nagel. I have to always credit her for this. She's every day for 2 years. She was saying to me, reminding me, but there is only you. She kept saying to me, there is only you, because everything outside of us is a reflection of a part of us. So
Yeah,
coming back to, although there are other people co-creating with us, of course, but ultimately, everybody in our holographic projection that we're calling life is actually responding to our frequency and the frequency of our emotions and our thoughts and our
yeah,
beliefs.
yeah.
So because one of the biggest worries, I think, is what will people think of me?
Of
You know,
course, fear of
what
judgment.
what will people think of me? What will people think of me if I start a new podcast and it doesn't work, and things like
Yeah,
that? Well, that isn't going to bother me because there is only me. And so
yeah,
therefore I can just follow my excitement. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. So what? And
yeah.
then
No
do the
pressure.
next thing. And if it
Yeah,
happens, it happens. It's that there is, when you realize that everyone is responding to your frequency, it stops you from doubting yourself.
yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. But it takes a long time if you've been through the school system where you need to do this, you should learn this, and you do become subservient to I ought to, I should. And it's like, no, you can do something slightly different. It's okay. But it's allowing yourself to do that, giving yourself permission to stand in your power.
It's permission again, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, permission, give yourself permission. Andrea, I'm giving you permission now. Please, please tell us about your book. I want to hear about
Oh,
the inspiration you had, and the writing process and what made you write it. And I'm so happy for you because it just sounds great.
thank you. Yeah, it was almost it was actually quite a quick process. I just decided, right, I'm going to write a book. I just felt like I was in that moment of, well, it feels I'm ready to do that. Why don't I just do it? And it is primarily my journey through losing my mum, becoming a mum, and how I kind of went into quite a shell of my own little zone. We were in rural France. It was something I had to retreat from life because I wasn't sure how to be in the bigger world. It was almost like there was so much that changed in my world. I couldn't cope with the external. So I became very reclusive almost. Um, and we established a cracking business in France, really good, but it took a long time. And it was almost like I could only manage so much stuff in one go. So the process of becoming a mum, I have a daughter and a son, but it was that initial stage where I felt like I was lost and also a little bit numb to what was going on around me because it was too much. And I think so many people do kind of lose themselves. They lose their own identity when they go through quite a big shock. And it can actually cost you years to find yourself coming back from that. And it's almost to say to people, it's normal, but you don't have to stay in it and through guilt or through shame or I ought to still be sad because that was a terrible thing that happened. It's okay to acknowledge and move on. And that was the bit that I had to really coach myself through at the time was, you've got a daughter. Don't let the sadness of losing your own mum affect her. That's not her stuff. I didn't want her to inherit anything from my journey. It's like, no, she's free. She's a free, independent soul. I don't want her to have any sadness. So yeah, there was lots and lots of, I suppose, insights into how that can affect you. And just from my journey of how I managed to get myself out of it. And it was then opening up retreats, offering massages, learning to do other tarot I used, just various things that I felt, well, I'm giving. And then I found myself giving more than I was taking. So, you find yourself, well, if I keep giving, I don't have to confront my own feelings. I'm just dealing with everyone else's feeling, but actually not having to confront my own. So there was a turning point where I thought I need to just let go of all this stuff. It's crazy. The baggage is too heavy. Let it go. And that's primarily what the book gets me to, that gets any reader to the point where they recognize, my goodness, I'm holding on to stuff too. And I don't want to do that anymore. And I'm allowed to let it go. I give myself permission to let it go. Which then led me to write the other book because the first one's about acknowledging it. And I think you have to acknowledge it before you release it. You can't let go of something you're not aware that's there. So we acknowledge it, we accept it, and then we go, okay, and I'm going to let myself move on from it, which is the second book, How to Put It Down. And the three core subjects within that are guilt, because a lot of guilt, a lot of women especially hold on to guilt. I should have done more. I could have done more. Had I done this, would have the outcome have been different? So guilt's the first one. And then shame is when you go, there's something wrong with me. This isn't normal. Why am I subjected to this? I'm wrong. So you make yourself wrong. And the third thing's blame. It's like, it's my fault or it's their fault. And it's just a pain story and a fear of actually just being with the feeling. So that's the crux of it, is to help people acknowledge the three key emotions that are heavy, and but not to make it any heavier than it need be. It's just to see those feelings, feel them, and then say, but it's not actually who I am. Beneath the feeling is the true version of me that I was born in as, and I've got my life to live, and I'm allowed to be joyous, and I'm allowed to have fun experiences even though sad things have occurred.
Definitely. And that's where I think he came up, isn't it? Because um, he is reminding you that you are the creator of your own reality. And, you're not to blame for the things that happen to you, but you
Mm,
are responsible for holding on to them. You know,
Yeah,
that's your responsibility to put them down.
yeah,
And no one else is, because no one else is going to put them down for you.
no, no, it's purely your choice.
And I think also, this is another place where I think the soul level work that we do really helps, because when you, from a soul perspective, we understand that adversity and our suffering is our springboard to enlightenment. That's how I
Yeah,
look at it. You know,
yeah,
you know, was it Rumi that said the wound is where the light comes in?
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, when you understand that and you can really feel that, you're like, okay, everybody has their suffering.
yeah,
And, you know, rather than do suffering comparing, oh, yes, but you only had that, I had this suffering, you know,
yeah. Mine was
like,
worse.
it doesn't matter, right? It's how you interpret your suffering. But everybody has it. And I mean, I think the older, wiser souls actually choose more suffering
Yeah,
because they know that when they overcome their suffering and they heal themselves,
yeah,
they're healing the collective. They know that
yeah,
connection, as above, so below, as within, so without. Thank
yeah,
you, magician. So they actually, from a soul perspective, they choose their suffering and they choose the worst suffering because they want to have the greatest impact on the evolution of humanity.
yeah,
Um, and so I see it very much like that. So and it's not about avoiding suffering, but it is about navigating it with ease and grace, isn't it? And
definitely. And there's almost a misconception that if you avoid the feeling, if you have a physical
Hmm.
wound, you can put some cream on it, put a plaster on it, and then you take the plaster off and it's healed. It doesn't work like that with emotional wounds. You put a plaster on it and you just push it down a bit more. It's the total opposite. You have to deal with the emotion like face on. You've got to look at it. Whereas with a plaster, you can hide it. You can't do that with the emotional stuff because it then manifests as a physical thing, and your body's like, deal with it.
Yes.
And it's fascinating how the emotional body will then directly affect the physical body if you keep shutting down and keep stopping hearing it. It's like, right, I'm going to give you a physical ailment then, and then you'll make me listen.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating process.
It is. And tell us about your heart healing, because that's where a lot of the emotions, you were saying that a lot of the emotions would be in the heart, and I find the
Yeah,
same. Of course, mine is through the emotion code, but you do
yeah,
a heart healing with a different modality, don't you? Tell us about that.
yeah. So heart healing is a methodology that uses hypnosis, and there's a lot of inner teenagers and inner child work that needs to be acknowledged. And there's sometimes this fear of acknowledging it because it's like, oh my God, that's too much. I can't go back to that. But actually, all we need to do is acknowledge it and acceptance that it wasn't right. It wasn't your fault. However, you've built a protective layer around your heart to feel safe in the moment. But that protective layer is actually stopping you from allowing love in. Not only are you stopping yourself giving love fully, you're not allowing it in either. So it's almost like this barbed wire that you feel is protecting your heart is actually having a really detrimental effect. So with it's gentle hypnosis. It's nothing, it's gentle because the nature of the heart is gentle, but equally you'll go back into a circumstance and just rewrite the ending so that what was not right then, and we acknowledge that you should never have been treated that way, you should have been loved, you should have had your power in that moment, but for some reason you felt disempowered, and it's okay to let that be and give that version of you a hug and come back full and complete and whole without any feelings that it was your fault or that anyone's judging you for the rest of your life for what happened then.
Yeah.
It is a gentle journey, the heart healing, but it has to be. The
Yeah.
heart's got its own brain, and you need to, nurture that. And it can sit so deeply. The wounds of the mother wound and father wound can sit so deeply. And to accept that maybe the people that brought you into the world maybe weren't there for you in the capacity they should have been. It's hard. No one wants to accept that.
No.
But there's as an acknowledgement that that was never your fault. And once we know that that was never our fault, it's okay. We forgive ourselves for it.
Yes, and sometimes to look at our parents and their upbringing and what they
Yeah.
went through, I think
Yes.
that sometimes helps us perceive them with compassion rather than
Oh,
resentment.
totally. It was never their fault. It's what
No.
they learned to use as their protective mechanism. And they, if they weren't loved as a young child either, how can they give you love? They never, they didn't know what love was. So they
Yeah.
could, people
Hurt, what do
only
they
give.
say? Hurt people, hurt people.
Oh, totally, totally. Yeah. And the thing I think with our generation is that we are willing to stop the hurting and actually forgive ourselves so that we don't hurt people because we go, no, 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 I've overcome that. And therefore, I'm not going to allow it to carry on. I'm going to stop it in this lifetime so it doesn't repeat ahead of us.
Yeah, definitely. And it's such a valuable time with this great awakening, and the work that you do is just so important and necessary at this time, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because in order, if Mother Earth is raising her frequency, we have to raise our frequency with her. And we see a lot of people leaving the planet, and
yeah,
again, soul choices. So it's
yeah,
sad, but we're not pushing the sadness down. We can feel it to heal it. It's all part of the human experience, isn't it? So for me,
certainly.
it's not about avoiding the negative emotions. It is, but it's about, as you said, acknowledging them and accepting them
Yeah,
and feel them to heal them.
exactly. And forgiving ourselves for having been through it.
Mm.
Because every not every soul, some souls have had a particularly tough journey. There's a lot of struggle, a lot of sadness, a lot of hurt, and that's not the human's fault. It's a journey the soul's been on, and it's great to accept it, acknowledge it, let go of it, because that doesn't need to be your experience forevermore.
And also, do you find that whether it's for yourself or for your clients, that um, some of the stuff that comes up, we're very aware of. We're very aware of our emotional trauma,
Yeah,
and because we've experienced it, we've gone through it. But do you ever find that there's subconscious stuff that comes up that we
yeah.
we haven't noticed?
For sure. Yeah, there is this quite often there's wounds that are buried so far down that they're like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that was something. And poverty consciousness is something that we can be very aware of, but we don't realize the extent that it can damage us.
Well,
If
poverty consciousness.
poverty
Yeah.
consciousness, yeah, and that's his, that can go back in our ancestry for years, many, many hundreds of years. So for one person to acknowledge that they've got to work through it and accept and move on from it and allow themselves to receive is quite a big stuff. It's big stuff.
Yeah.
So, but the subconscious is holding on to that. So that particular journey, I think, is quite, and that's where the frustration comes with people go, but I don't understand why it's there. Why are things so difficult? Why am I always struggling? And it's like, well, because it's actually been there for 600, 700 years, maybe longer. And
Yeah.
it might be a very, very subtle imprint on your soul, but it's there and it's a little shadow that until the work's done, it's going to sit there.
So yeah, so the soul work that you do, you're going into other lifetimes.
Yeah, it goes into
Yeah.
past life.
And
Yeah,
there's so many, and that's when I think you get this one of the biggest aha moments. I mean, just for myself, with my one of the things that made me study the soul level healing was because in my own meditation, had some experiences of other lifetimes that showed me where I was having panic attacks and
yeah,
I couldn't explain them.
yeah,
And I was saying things like, oh, I didn't like flying or it was claustrophobia, but it had nothing to do with flying and it had nothing to do with claustrophobia. It was just that I couldn't think of other words to say to describe
yes,
it. And when I went back into these experiences, I was, oh my God, that's exactly how I felt. It was like
yeah,
it's a feeling and it's a pattern. You used the word pattern, and it's exactly a pattern, isn't it? And after the first experience, it wasn't a vision, it was an experience. I was taken back there. It's all in the now, but anyway, whatever.
yeah,
And I was like, oh my God, that's exactly how I felt with the panic attack.
Yeah.
And I was just about to relax when I was taken to the second one. And I had another
Wow.
experience, um, completely different situation, exactly the same pattern.
Oh, wow. So,
And
yeah.
and I was like, oh my God, that's exactly where it's from.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I did, like the emotion code by Dr. Bradley Nelson, and I'm very grateful to him for bringing the emotion code to humanity. But he doesn't believe in past lives because he's a Mormon.
Okay.
But I actually, when I had that experience that I'm talking about, I used the emotion code to release the emotional trauma at the point of death. Because I
Okay.
think sometimes when there's emotional trauma at the point of death, that's when it stays with the soul.
Yes.
And then you found that as well of you, and then it comes
Yes.
into this lifetime with the soul. So
Yeah.
that's where I think a lot of this, and if you use the hypnosis technique, and I've had the hypnosis technique as well. I don't do that, but I've had it with another practitioner, and where she took me to the point of death
Oh,
and
wow.
helped me experience it again through peace and joy,
Yeah. So
um,
change the
and
outcome.
not through fear.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's powerful stuff. But just knowing that we can mix and match these modalities, right? Because so I started using the emotion code to release past life emotional trauma as well. But
Yeah.
it's those patterns, and I've seen it. I see it everywhere. Because it came up also when I first met my husband. He was behaving in a kind of a controlling way, and I was like, that's not appropriate. That's not. I'm not gonna accept that.
Yeah.
And I did a soul reading for the two of us as a couple, and it turned out that he had been my sibling in another lifetime, and he was protecting me from our violent father. And so
Oh, wow.
he was saying to me, do it this way, do it this way. Don't do it like that. Don't do it like that. Make sure you do it like, and that's the energy. And I was like, oh, that's the energy I'm getting from him,
Yeah.
but it's not appropriate in this lifetime, darling.
Thanks for showing me, but you
But
don't need to.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But just
Yeah.
it's just the awareness. I mean, that
Is everything.
consciousness is
Yes.
everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that's what changes it in the now.
And if we can become aware of what's going on in the subconscious mind, we can change the outcome, we can change the pattern, we can reprogram and allow ourselves to just come at things from a totally different perspective.
Yeah.
Allow the love to flow rather than the fear to flow, because
Yeah.
that's where it's all stored in the subconscious mind. And if we are consciously shifting the way we've always done things, like changing them to have a better outcome, then we're actually going to change humanity.
Yeah.
Just the expectation that,
I got
well, I
truth
can't.
bumps when you said that because that's what we came here to do.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And there's a lot of women, especially, that think, well, I can't have love and money. I've got to choose one or the other. You can have both, actually, but there's this perception, and a lot of women that have been healers in past life, especially the priestess archetypes, have been through that. Well, you choose. If you want to be loved, you're not going to get the money for it because that gets taken away. Or, if you're going to be abundant, then you're not going to have love. It was almost like there was one or the other, but we can allow ourselves to have it all. It's just shifting into the, yeah, allowing ourselves to receive on every level. And
Yeah.
it's quite a big, I think it's a big thing of where we're going now, is
Yeah.
just allowing things to be easy, because our expectation is that they're not going to be.
But it's actually only us that creates
Of
the
course.
difficulty because of our perception
Yeah.
of everything.
Yeah.
Um, if we can perceive things differently, like especially with what's going on in the world at the moment, if we can look at if we refer it to tarot, like we can look at it as the Tower card, which is
Yeah.
disruption and chaos.
Yeah.
Certain leaders are helping us with that. So it's not about whether you like them or don't like them. It's
Yeah.
about the fact that this is divine chaos because we're helping humanity expand its level of consciousness. That's what it's all
Yeah.
about, right? That's what
And
we came here
shift.
to do. So we need to see what it is. We need to see the things that need to change. It's what we've been talking about on a personal level. We need
Yeah.
to see the things that we don't want to have in our future. So, and then so
Exactly.
that we can consciously create the future that we want. And it's divine chaos because after the Tower card, of course, comes the Star card, which is
Yeah.
heaven on earth.
Yeah.
And it's the heaven on earth card. And in the Rider Waite deck, there's that big star in the middle, which represents our true essence.
Yeah.
And so it just goes to show that by being who we really are, in our core, in our soul, that's all we need to do. And that when we follow that, it's what brings us joy and excitement. So life
Exactly.
was never meant to be a struggle. And when we look at the world, we don't need to judge it. And we don't need to look at it and say, this needs to change, that needs to change, it's wrong, because that's the resistance that's
Yeah.
actually keeping it there. What you resist persists. So, and it's not about saying, oh yeah, no, it's great, people are suffering. It's not like that.
No, not at all.
Our
Acknowledging.
hearts are wide open, which is why we do the heart healing, right? To help
Yeah.
people open their hearts to love and compassion for all of humanity.
Yeah.
And so that we can, and for the perpetrators and the victims, because
Yeah.
we've just said hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
So we can look at all of that, and the world leaders with whatever they're doing hurt people, or
Yeah.
what. But it's the confusion that comes with the Tower card, that actually with the Tower card, the light is coming in,
Mm.
but it
Clearing the way.
and those people were not going to fall away from the tower if the tower wasn't coming down. So a lot of people are not going to wake up to the things that need to change if we didn't have that. So you can look at it all without judgment, I want to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just knowing that that isn't how you want to live your life. So go back to your true essence, which is the star card,
Yeah.
the very next one, and be who you came here to be and
Yeah.
create the world that you want. And I know it sounds corny sometimes, but it's so true. But it's up to us to be the change that we want to see in the world. So
Absolutely.
we see somebody behaving badly, and everyone's jumping up and down trying to change that person. It doesn't work like that because the
No.
outside is just a perception, it's just a holographic projection. What we need to do is just change the way we live our life.
Mm. Yeah. Stop blaming.
Well, yes, the stop blaming, we're back to that, which of
Yeah.
course, this one, when you blame other
Yeah.
people, the finger pointing
Fingers
at other
point.
people,
Yeah.
you've got three fingers
More of them are
pointing
back
back.
at you. Yeah. That's the thing, isn't it? It's the shame, the blame, the guilt.
Guilt. And of
They're
course, they
really,
are the three, well, guilt and shame are the two lowest frequencies on
yes.
David Hawkins' map of consciousness, which
Yeah.
I'm always talking about. They are the lowest ones. So if we can release those, that's
Yeah.
going to have a massive effect on the overall frequency.
Yeah, quite quickly as well, because once you put a spotlight on something, it doesn't have the same power. It's kind of it's less. Once you can see something, it's not got as much power over you. You know, it just becomes smaller because you can see it.
And also you're choosing, you're making that choice. That's the two of
Yeah,
wands, right? That you're making that choice that I don't need to change that. I just need to create the new.
yeah, yeah, and allow the new to unfold.
Yeah.
You know, don't stop it with an expectation that's going to be difficult.
Yeah. Or a belief that your grandparents gave you or school gave you,
Yeah, school's a
you know.
huge one,
Oh
a
yeah,
huge
you got
one.
to work really hard, in life. You got to work really hard, and I mean it's still rife. I mean, even
Yeah,
when my son went to university, I was like, fill your boots, do whatever you want, and he went to study guitar and sound healing and stuff, and even then my parents were saying, look, he can do that in his own time. He needs to study something academic. I was like,
yeah.
listen to them, son.
Yeah, no,
Follow
it's
your heart.
fascinating.
I mean, it's
That's the
still,
the
yeah,
shoulds, the
yeah.
shoulds, and you ought to do this, you should do this. No, what you ought to do is what makes your heart sing, because then you'll be really good at it and people will feel that and you'll be successful at that.
Do the thing that makes your heart sing.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for
So,
sure.
oh, I'm loving this conversation. I don't even know how long we've been talking, but tell us about the second book, because you said the first one is about permission to put it down, to put
Yeah,
that guilt and shame and blame down. And the second book is how to put it down.
yeah.
I mean, I know it's a book, and I will put there's links in the description to all of Andrea's website and her books and everything,
Thank
so that
you.
you can contact her for a session, heart healing, for get her book, everything. But yeah, can you just like give us a rough idea of some of the ideas in that book?
So there's three succinct sections, and you would choose the one that you feel is most relevant to you. I think all of them apply to all of us. However, one will be stronger. So the first section was guilt because that was my thing. You know, had I done this differently, would my mum have lived longer? Had I approached things like that, would that have changed an outcome? It was her soul journey. It wouldn't. But the guilt that I carried for could I, should I, maybe it was years of trying to find peace with that guilt until I realized that it was a coping mechanism. It was something that justified the pain for me. And almost if I didn't blame her and took the blame myself, I felt like I was in control of it. But it became really quite toxic in a way because it keeps you on a very low vibration and always replaying scenarios of like, oh my goodness, I could have done that. I could have done that. We could have tried that therapy. We could have tried that doctor. That was the journey that we were supposed to go on together and accept that that was the outcome. And also accept that it wasn't for me to blame myself for the rest of my life for it,
Mm.
and her choice to leave the planet when she chose to leave the planet, which is a strange way of viewing it for some. But I do believe that the soul chooses when it's ready to exit. And that was her point to exit. And whilst it was painful for me, there was a huge growth that happened for me. So that was our contract. She decided to leave because she knew it would make me step up and into the more empowered version of me that I was capable of being. But it took years. So the exercises that come with the book are very much about identify the moment that you started to squash the pain because you felt that feeling it was going to be unbearable. Because the feeling of pain, when it's physical, it goes quite quickly. When it's emotional, it doesn't, it lingers. And that's the fear of feeling that emotional pain is often greater than just allowing yourself to sit in it. And to some extent to wallow in it and allow yourself to really feel it. Because if you allow yourself to feel it to its core, it then starts to lift
Yeah.
because you do come out of it. And I was prescribed antidepressants, but I didn't want them. There's no way I was going to go down that route because I thought it's just not who I am. I want to do this naturally and feel. But there's sadly, lots of doctors will prescribe the antidepressants to get you through the grief. But I just chose to deal with it in my own natural way. And ultimately, when I just allowed myself to feel sad and to cry and to feel it at a core raw level, it left.
Yeah.
It actually lifted. And I could see the reasons, maybe, if that's a word I could use for it. This is why it had to happen this way.
Yeah.
And, I would never have left the UK had my mum lived because I think I would have been the daughter that was around for her there. But actually, her leaving, in a way, gave me the permission to go and set up a different way of living for me, which was right. So, yeah, I think the book will help you to unravel what you might be avoiding unraveling for fear of how it's going to feel.
Yeah.
But the truth is, the feeling lifts once you actually highlight it.
Yeah, it definitely. That's one of the things that I experienced as well. Because also, especially when we're talking about emotions of shame and guilt, they're not who we are.
No,
Because
they're
we
not.
are love, right? We are love. I know that sounds all woo-woo. I don't care. I mean, I talk about the quantum science behind it in this book, but it is scientific. But no, but we are love and peace and joy. They're our natural states of being. Um,
Yeah,
the guilt and the shame is not who we are. So that's why what you're saying is like so spot on because when you feel it, like everything wants to move in cycles. All energy, everything is energy. We know that emotions are energy, and like
yeah,
all energy, they want to move in cycles.
yeah,
And because we haven't wanted to feel it, we've blocked it and we've kept it,
yeah,
like you said, you put the plaster over it and you keep it pushed down. So when you take the
Yeah.
plaster off and allow yourself to feel it, you're actually allowing that emotion, that energy to complete its cycle. And then
Sure.
once
It's
it completes
natural.
its cycle, it leaves your energy field.
Exactly. Because you've allowed it.
Yeah. And you felt it. I
Yeah.
mean, some emotions, I mean, I've done this with a few emotions where I've just literally, you've got to keep the body still and relaxed and put your consciousness on it
Yeah.
as opposed to reacting to it,
Yeah.
coming from that place of stillness. I remember in The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle talked about feeling the emotion without
Mm.
becoming the
Yes.
emotion. And
Separate
that's where
them.
it takes practice, I think,
Definitely.
especially if it's anger or something like that.
Yeah.
But you can feel the guilt without becoming guilty.
Yeah.
It's that thing, just feeling it, knowing that it isn't part of who you are. And it can get really intense, can't it? But then when it leaves your energy field, it just feels so
Yeah.
light.
There's a lightness that
Yeah.
comes. And the other thing I suggest in this book is to almost take something like a physical object. You could grab a rock or a shell or something that is a physical object where you can almost imagine, because I'm quite visual. I find it quite easy to see in pictures, but I know some people don't. But if you've got something physical that you're holding, and you can almost say, right, I'm going to take that feeling from my heart and I'm going to place it on that stone. I'm going to hurl it in the sea. I'm
Yeah.
physically getting rid of it.
Yeah.
And that it's almost like that little ritual. If you do it regularly, that little ritual becomes your way of
Yeah.
taking a difficult emotion and physically removing it from you and putting it out there so it separates you from it.
Yeah.
Little things, nothing rocket science, just little things that can just help to lift the heaviness and the weight and the fear of feeling it.
Yeah. Definitely. Wow. Yeah. It sounds powerful. It sounds powerful stuff, isn't it?
There
Wow.
is
Joy
I
connecting
was
with
going to
you. Sorry.
say, there's a little caveat to say that, some people do have quite deep rooted trauma that can, sometimes you do need to do some of this stuff with a therapist. There's nothing in there that I would say was going to take people to an edge where it's dangerous, but
No.
I have put in there as well. You don't have to go through this on your own. If you identify something that does frighten you and you're not ready to actually go into, put it down, and maybe walk it through with a therapist or walk it through with someone you trust and that loves you, just so that you don't feel alone in that process. But equally, none of it is that heavy that you're going to go to a place you don't want to go to. So it's
Well,
supposed to be light.
yes, but you know what? So it reminds me though, what you're saying though, that heaviness, right? So I remember years ago, um, someone suggested that I had hypnotherapy to help me stop smoking at the time. And I remember thinking at the time, there is no way that I'm going to have hypnotherapy because if I lose control, right, over who I am and my expression of emotions. I honestly thought I had a monster inside of me. I thought there's a I knew I had the sense to know that I had suppressed emotions so much that there
Mm.
was a monster, and I thought there's no way I'm having hypnotherapy because I don't know what.
To unleash the monster.
Yeah, I will unleash a monster, and I don't want to be responsible for what happens to the therapist or the state of
Yeah,
the room. Seriously, I felt like that.
yeah,
And so I avoided it for quite a while. But actually, when I got into the emotion code and I started releasing the emotions that way, that's when I realized that there isn't a monster. It doesn't
not at
matter
all.
how serious the trauma, that is not a monster inside of us. It is a younger version of us that
Yeah,
just wants to cry.
yeah, and feel safe and feel loved. Yeah, that is the crux of it. You just want to feel safe and feel loved, and yeah, and let it go.
And
Yeah,
the irony of it being is that we are the love that
that
we
we
are
need.
seeking. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's the thing is though is society does condition you to not allow that, sadly. But that's what this great time's all about, isn't it? Is that seeing the patterns that we've all followed and allowing ourselves to unravel them back and go, no, that wasn't right. I'm going to let that play out differently from now on in.
Yeah. And I'm going to be the change that I want to see in the world.
Yeah, exactly that.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
fascinating.
Well, I don't care about anyone else. I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you today.
Well, it's just so fascinating because we are on the same page, but with a unique way of viewing it, and a unique way of presenting it. So
Yeah. And
that's
I love
lovely.
it. Yeah. And it's beautiful to see. And so, and I love seeing, I can see the light within you and the namaste right there. Um, thank you so much. Is there anything you want to say or share before we say goodbye?
Thank you for having such a great chat. And yeah, if anybody feels that what I might have mentioned is resonating or if they feel stuck, then the best thing you can do is acknowledge and have the courage to acknowledge it. And then say, I want to take the courage to let go of it. Don't stay
Yeah,
stuck in it for longer than you have to because it can cost you years. And we haven't got
definitely.
years, as much as we're infinite souls, our time in this realm, we don't know. So enjoy every bloody minute of it.
Exactly. So I'm suggesting that people visit andreawilkin.com, but I will put a link in the description and just see what resonates. And I'll definitely put a link into the books because they just sound amazing and it's what people need at this time. It really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Well,
So
thank you.
thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to anyone who's got to the end of this video. Such a joy, and I'm looking forward to keeping in touch with you, Andrea. And I'm sending
Thank
you
you.
so much love and lots of love to everybody watching. Mwah.
I love to you too.
Mwah.
Bye bye.
Bye for now.